welcome to Meeple Mentor Reviews, and I am Jared, and with me is Holly. Today we're going to talk about our review of CMON's and Eric Lang's Rising Sun, which is, a thematic dudes on a map, area control kind of game, set in feudal Japan, but with monsters and all sorts of crazy, fantastic beasts and
fun times,
sorcerers and stuff. And there's kami gods, and so I have all the expansions and the deluxe version and all of that stuff, and there's a lot of miniatures in this game.
There really are. I think the most time-consuming part is actually stepping away and trying to find the monster that you've claimed.
It's true. Every time someone plays an action, everyone gets a chance to do that action and clockwise turn order. And one of those is to buy a card from that display of seasons cards. And each season provides between 3 and 6 monsters, depending on the clans that are involved.
Well, it's not just those. It's not just the season cards. It's also the commies. So there's a lot of miniatures.
Yes. So one of the expansions has the kami figures that you can also obtain when you win their favor and control those. So there's not just, like she said, there's not just the monsters that you get with those season cards, but by earning the kami Shinto respect, you gain those kami miniatures, which is, again, it's an expansion. You don't necessarily have to play with that. We did, because we had it, and it's fun to throw in as much miniatures and craziness into the game as possible. The monsters aren't the only thing you can get. The other cards could be, ongoing bonuses or upgrades to some of your pieces.
Or endpoints.
Or in-game scoring, which is a big deal. A lot of those in-game points come at the latter season. There's really 3 seasons you play in. There's spring, summer, and fall. And you go through 7 actions with intermittent phases of the kami scoring, which is to say, if there's anyone's Shinto worshippers, their figures in the temple spaces of the board, then you resolve those, and they get those bonuses as well. And at the end of those 7 actions in the final kami phase, then there's a battle, like a war phase. The way that works is, at the beginning of each season, we set up a number of battle tokens that are randomized the order, randomized which ones of all the 9 or so regions on the map. And you kind of place these flags out onto those regions so that throughout the whole season of actions, you can see which battle or which provinces are going to have battles in it in that battle phase. So if you want to be part of a battle, you have to move and maneuver your guys to those spots. Just having guys in a province doesn't mean there's a battle.
Right.
It's not like other area control games where, if there's 2 players in one region, that it's just automatically going to be a battle. It's a little more complicated than that. Plus, an interesting part of this is they encourage you to spread out, and as soon as you've won a battle in a province, you really have no incentive to win there again. So you're forced to continually moving your guys. And the reason why you don't want to do it again is they have a set collection bonus because you win those battle tokens. And if you have different provinces, each, for the
which are signified by different colors.
Right, different colors and areas on the map. And for each different one that you have, you can count up towards a set collection. So with 3 or 4 different one, you get 10 points, 5 and 6, you get 20, and 6 and 7, something like that.
It's 30, yeah.
Yeah, 10, 20, 30 points. So you want to try to, diversify your battle strategies. But that's not all you can do. You want to tell us some of the how the battles work and that sort of thing?
Well, the battles are fun. Once you get to your battle, you on your player board, as we'll call it, one side is your actions that you can take. The other side is the battle side. Mm-hmm. And that has a series of options. You can perform, what's it called? Seppuku.
Seppuku.
Which is where you kill all of your characters and get a point each. Easy peasy.
And honor.
Yes.
That is,
I forgot about the honor.
One of the main way to gain honor.
You can also take a hostage. I personally had a card that allowed me to get a point and honor every time I took a hostage.
Well, a bonus point.
Right.
So normally you gain a hostage and you get
I did
a point.
keep forgetting about that.
Well,
but
a
it's
lot of
on the
people
card
forget.
with your card,
A lot of
Scott.
people forget that. Yeah, the guides and the references and this battle display, everything describes everything very, very succinctly. You just got to read it.
The third option is to, you have the option to collect, or the chance to collect these things called Ronin. They're basically little soldiers that you can throw into battle.
More
That's
like
your
tokens instead
third
of
option.
miniatures.
Yeah. And then the final option.
So then the battle outcome happens.
There's a fourth option.
And then the fourth option, after the battle outcome.
I thought there were 4 before the last one.
No, the first 3 happened before the battle.
Okay.
And then after the battle, meaning whoever won, everyone else dies. That fourth option.
That's the bank option.
That's the one where...
That's where you can... But you have to win the bid. That's the important part.
On any of these.
You have coins that you have to put on to win the bid. If you don't win the bid, you don't get to take the action. But is it called the Imperial Poets, I believe?
Yes.
Yes. So you get 1 point for everyone that was killed in the battle.
Every figure that died in the battle, and whether it was
yours or not,
or yours or others, you get a point for that. So I kept trying to emphasize to the players that had been playing, played for the first time, that like this isn't like other area control games where you just want to win battles. I won probably the most battles, but I didn't win the game. And I think that's really part of the diversity of ways to score in this game. And like she was saying, each of those ways is ways to score points in a battle without having to win, without having to have the most force. The only thing it gets you with having the most force is one of those battle tokens.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you just want to spread out so you have like one guy in as many battles as possible, because then you can participate and you can put money towards, gathering points from a big battle that you're not planning to win,
right? But
maybe collect some points from.
I think the reason that I won is because I focused on the end game. Mm-hmm. I want to, everywhere that I saw that I could get points, mm-hmm. I was like, I think I'm going to do that.
Yeah, there are attached harvest spaces that you don't go to. It's just, it tells you that when you do a harvest action, if you have the most force in that province, you get the associated bonus.
I was really lucky to be randomly placed in that province, because my first harvest brought me in a coin, a Ronin, and a point.
Yeah, and one of them, I think it was the one in the middle of the map, has 4 points whenever you do that harvest.
Yeah, I got that one too.
So there are these little bonuses and harvest things that you can end up doing if you're the one who chose the action that everyone takes. That's a unique part of this game, I think, is you slowly go through this stack of action tiles, and 7 of them get played, but every person, passes the stack. You get to look at 4 and pick one, and then the 3 you didn't choose go right on top. So you have sort of an idea of what the next player is going to choose from. And the other big, aspect of this game is this tea ceremony, mm-hmm. which happens at the start of every one of these 3 seasons. And you get to negotiate at the table just as freely as you like to try to find an ally to partner with you that season. If you have an odd number of players, then someone's not going to have an ally. Of course, you may want to go it yourself. But the reason you do want to have an ally is when they choose an action tile, you get the stronger benefit as if you played the action tile.
Which is great.
It's a really good benefit. Now, I said, everyone takes actions when, like the same action when a tile is chosen. Mm-hmm. But the person who plays it and their ally get a stronger version of it, which is always worth it. So if you can be allied with someone, it's always good. There's even a betray tile that mm-hmm. if you really want to battle them during the battle phase at the end of these actions, if you get that chance to hit the betray tile, you break the ally, you go down in honor, but mm-hmm. you also get to swap out like 2 of your figures with others on the map. So it's a really interesting way to handle, all the allies that happen.
I never did play the betray tile.
The people that did were the ones that didn't have an ally.
Yeah.
You noticed that?
I did not. Well, except for, the vengeance mm-hmm. breaking of alliances.
There was a little bit of this, like, not just the allies, but like some vendettas that people had, especially towards me.
It was a little rough at the table. Have snacks before.
Yeah, and as people started getting a little hangry, wanting to eat as well, then some of the vendettas and the little slights and take that ended up happening became a little bit more intense.
But it calmed down after, and everything was good.
Yeah, we took a break for food, and calmed down a little bit. But
Watch your cards. You can accidentally ruin your alliances.
So I think everyone had a really good time, and I felt like even those who didn't know what they were going to expect ended up enjoying it for what uniqueness it is.
I think almost everybody had a good time.
We'll get over it.
But it's a good game. I really enjoy it.
I really like Rising Sun. It's a really unique and just cool looking, fun to play.
Oh man,
dudes on a map area control game.
The yin and yang for the tea ceremony is so pretty. Yeah. I just love it. So I love the pretty little pieces. Mm-hmm. So
well, I will have to let our viewers know that the big thick plastic ones that we have is the deluxe,
of course,
and not the cardboard ones that go together as per. I feel like
predominantly
standard.
What we're discussing here would be deluxe.
Of course.
Because it's you.
These thoughts and my reviews, for the most part, are always going to have the deluxe version. It's almost like if it's not deluxe, I'll have to preface that. You can assume it's going to be the deluxe version.
Yeah. Which is fun for me because it's all pretty little things.
So I've played Rising Sun quite a few times now, probably 5 or 6. This was, Holly had played one time now, and we wanted to give our thoughts from someone who's played it a bunch, someone who's played it just recently, and our thoughts on how that game went and how our general feelings of the game are. From someone who's played a lot of other Eric Lane games, this is one of my favorites of his. If you want to talk about the other similar battle area control games he's made, like Chaos in the Old World, Blood Rage, and Ankh, my personal favorite is Rising Sun. Now, if you're familiar with Blood Rage, which most of you may be because it's in the top 100 games and a lot of people played it. The reason I prefer this over Blood Rage specifically, Blood Rage I feel has a player advantage to people who've played before, whereas Rising Sun, it doesn't have that as much.
I feel a lot of games are like that. But not this one.
No, not this one.
I would agree with that statement.
Rising Sun really teaches everyone every turn what you're doing, because there's not a time when you can make necessarily a bad action decision, because everyone chooses something, and you get a little benefit for choosing the one that you really want, but
right.
All these actions are going to happen for
Everything's beneficial, just about.
Yeah, whereas this is the biggest difference, and why I prefer this is in Blood Rage, instead of having one stack of action tiles and abilities that everyone does and shares, you have card drafting for each season or each phase or age as it is, and so you card draft the cards that you want to play, not knowing if you've not played before, not knowing what cards are coming in the next ages or what's possible with the kind of cards you can get.
I can see where that would be a disadvantage.
And so if you've never seen any of the cards in Blood Rage and that you just look at 7 at a time and then 6 and then 5, you're like, wow, I mean, some of these are vastly superior to others. And if you don't know which one's the best out of any given hand, you're going to be at a disadvantage. I mean, that's just the way it is. Which, it's unfortunate. I like Blood Rage. I like it a lot. But I would show someone Rising Sun first so they can get an idea for the kind of gameplay that they can expect in Blood Rage. And then maybe, I don't know, if you can just show all the cards that are possible in the age that could come out before you start drafting, so that you can give everybody a general idea of your strategy. Because
I would never remember all that.
That's a big factor in how you're going to play Blood Rage is, which cards you're going to get and choose, and which ones you want to play. Whereas Rising Sun gets rid of all of that.
Actually, out of the two that I've played, Rising Sun and Chaos in the Old World, I prefer Rising Sun.
Well, this one certainly has a lot more miniatures.
I really think it's the miniature aspect, though.
So what do you prefer for this one?
I wasn't a huge fan of the directional cards for Chaos. I felt like I was stuck a lot and I couldn't play my cards. I feel like I can do a lot more in this. Like I can actually achieve what I'm trying to.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. Like this, they streamlined the idea that you can, every action is always going to be applicable and everything is going to be helpful.
Yeah.
Just to what level of help, you know.
Right. Whereas in Chaos, you can work towards a detriment.
Yeah.
Heavily.
And again, with Chaos as well, like you might get some cards that you draw and you may not be able to play.
Yeah, that's what I was facing.
Absolutely.
I was like, there's no way I can play any of this. I'm kind of stuck.
Yeah.
So I really like it if I don't get stuck on a game. You know, if I can just flow through and be like, ooh, okay.
Yeah. So even with only 7 actions per season, the fact that everyone's doing it, you know, like it's still
plenty
of turns. That's 21 turns to do things, and then resolving battles with as much money as you have.
Yeah.
I'll say one last thing about the battle is people who've bid money during the battle on those various 4 actions discard that money at the end of the battle, except the winner of the battle. The winner of the battle has to distribute whatever money they put on their board to the losers as evenly as possible.
Got to be very careful about that.
If you end up overspending on one of the early battles that are supposed to resolve and you end up giving a ton of money to people that are going to fight you in a later battle, you're handicapping yourself in that later battle because you're giving them more strength towards, you know, getting points or whatever you want, you know.
Yeah.
I think it's a very dynamic system. There's a lot of things to think about, but it's also done in a very streamlined way.
It is.
It's a heavy game, to be sure. I mean, it can play a long time. I like it at 4. I like it at 5 players, but it is long. I found that in the game we played, if the players aren't fully into like following the phases that happen or whose turn's next, then it can really drag. So if you don't have someone kind of staying on top of like, okay, now everyone's doing this, and so now that that's resolved, this is the next person to choose an action. So that would be a detriment, you know, as far as just the drag that can happen. If you're playing with a lot of gamers that are fully into it and everyone's paying attention,
shouldn't be a problem.
It's not going to be a problem. But if you're playing with either newer players or,
you know, just ADD characters like myself.
Yeah, you know, anybody that's like, I'll do a thing and maybe it takes me a while to choose, or maybe I chose and then I forget to like tell the next person. Or I'm not following that after me is the change of a phase and I need to tell them that we need to do the next thing. That kind of stuff.
So on your negative, one thing that I did really like is a lot of games I find that partway through, halfway through, maybe 3/4 of the way through, I've been working fruitlessly towards something. I was okay with my standing on the way around the board because I thought I was achieving things. Even though I didn't really get my huge point boost until the end scoring, I still felt good about my gameplay because it looked like it was doing something for me.
Sure.
And like I understood it.
Yeah, and that's true in this game that a lot of the points are going to be entered at the end of the game. I think for most of the game, I had 2 or 3 points.
Yeah, you did.
I mean, I was at the bottom of the track, but I was winning a ton of battles.
I don't think I got past 6 points in the actual game. And I won, so...
And she ended up winning with an extra 40-something points. You know?
It was crazy.
Yeah. So, but that's the kind of game it is, and I really enjoy it. I think if what we described sounds fun to you, then you're going to really like this. It's definitely going to play longer than Blood Rage, probably about the same as Chaos in the Old World. That was a pretty long one.
Maybe not as long. I feel like we were sitting there for about 6 hours with Chaos, but this was only about 3.
Yeah. But it's really great.
Because we did get a late start on this too.
Yeah,
so.
If you can get your hands on the deluxe version, it's very much worth it. And all of the expansions are fantastic. I really like the added monsters and the added cards that are provided and the new clans and things
They're
like
fun
that.
to look at too.
Yeah.
Oh, the detail, the intricate
Miniature
detail is amazing.
Yeah. And even the basic soldiers in your collection, there's at least 2 sculpts between like the 8 that you get.
Right, and they're all different
They're
for the
all
different
very
players.
different. They're the colors, but all the sculpts are different, which is really cool.
It
They
is,
put a
it's really
lot of
neat.
time and effort into this and made it a really nice production, and it's a great game.
It is.
So those are my final thoughts. I think it's great if you're looking for a fun thematic, Japanese themed feudal area controlled dudes on a map, but streamlined and just a lot of fun. This is a great one.
Or if you know, like for giggles, you want to start a big fight with your friends.
That can happen. All right.
It's area control. What can you do? I mean,
There's going to be take that because it's area control. Come on. Even when you're allied with someone, it's going to happen. So, all right. Thanks for tuning in to our review of Rising Sun. I've been Jared.
I'm Holly.
And we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.